Yo, dude.
What's going on, man?
How you doing?
Oh, just same thing, Groundhog Day over here.
Like everybody. I saw some of the stuff we were on your tour bus. Now, are you out there for a reason? So you don't get your wife and kids sick, or what's the story behind that?
Yeah, because we were at that festival in Europe, and one of the shows was in Berlin, like right when the big outbreak hit over there. And so, like, when I got home, we came home early because the travel ban hit halfway into our trip. But I had been to like Amsterdam, Berlin, Stockholm, and Oslo, and I'd been on like 6 planes, and I was just like, if this can take 14 minutes for symptoms or 14 days for symptoms to show, like I feel fine now, but what if I start having symptoms and I'm already holding my baby and sleeping in bed with my wife, and I just didn't want to take the risk.
Well, how mature of you?
Yeah, well, I can fake it sometimes.
Hey, what was that like when you're in Europe and, in the early part of Corona, and we're kind of figuring out that it's a pretty real thing, and, some of our institutions are going to be moved because of it, and you're out of the country. What happens to you while you're over there?
Yeah, it was pretty scary. The second show was Berlin, and the afternoon of the show, at like 3:00, their government came out and said, like, no gatherings of, I think it was 500 at the time or bigger. And I don't know how, because that was at 3:00. We still played the show. I headlined, I think it was like 4,000 people. So that was kind of scary because they're saying it's not safe to have that big of a group, and we're just playing our show anyways. But I think, as it went on, that was the beginning of other governments starting to put that restriction on public gatherings and stuff. And by the time we were in Oslo, we had one club show left before we were going to go to the UK and play the other big 3 arena shows. And like an hour before the show, their government came out and said, like 50 people or less. And we're going, okay, this is like, we're being irresponsible by staying over here. And so we actually booked our flights home like 2 hours before Trump came out with the travel ban. So it was, I think people over here think that it's a little bit crazier over in Europe. It felt kind of the same. Everybody's anxiety is kind of palpable, just like it is here right now. But it was just weird to not be home and know that you were running the risk of maybe getting stuck over there.
Did you ask how much those flights cost to get back, or did you just go get me home?
Dude, I know how much they cost. It was definitely a low blow.
Yeah, you don't want to share?
No. It's honestly, I don't want to. Yeah, hey, I will say this, because we booked ours 2 hours before the travel ban.
Yeah,
we got them before they went up to like an unreasonable number.
Yeah,
I know some people that waited. I know ours doubled from when we bought them to 2 hours later.
And who makes that call in your group? Was it you going, hey, we got to go?
We had our finger on that button the whole time, and it was the club shows I was playing in Stockholm and Oslo were just me and my music director, so just 2 guitars, little acoustic clubs. And so my manager was actually on that run. There were just 4 of us, and it was kind of me and my manager like watching the news on the regular. But we both looked at each other when the Oslo, we're at the venue and the show got canceled, and we went, we got to go. It was like you make eye contact with somebody and you're on the same page.
Yeah,
it was one of those deals. So yeah, he wouldn't have pulled that trigger without me. But it was something that we knew was a possibility the whole time.
So you get off the plane, and since you knew all this was happening, you didn't hug your wife or kiss your baby or anything like that?
No. So all I did was I went home. I left all my luggage, my backpack, my suitcase, everything in the garage because it can live on surfaces for 3 days. I undressed in the garage, showered, threw my towel straight into the laundry, threw stuff in a bag, and drove to the bus.
What are you doing for food? Is it not the stock? You don't have maybe Cheerios from bus stock, but how are you eating?
We had some stuff. I had probably 2 days worth of food, but then I've been doing Instacart, like grocery orders, and just having them leave it outside the bus and then wiping down every item with wipes one at a time before I bring it into the bus.
I'm assuming you feel all right, healthy, right? You're almost done. You're almost done with this, right?
I feel great. Yeah, I don't have any symptoms, and when I decided to do this, they were still saying it takes 5 days to show symptoms, and then on day 2 they changed it to 14, and I was like,
oh no.
So I thought I was coming for 5 days. Joke was on me.
Are you doing any solo writing while you're on the bus?
I've kind of messed with it a little bit, but I'm with everything that's going on, and like there's a ton of business decisions to be made right now as shows are getting postponed and moved and all of that. That like it's been hard to put on the creative hat. I definitely have a guitar in here that I've been like fooling around with, and it usually ends up just not going anywhere because I got too many other things on my mind. So once I get home and I've got a Wi-Fi situation, I'm going to start doing like virtual writes and stuff. But I haven't really had the bug to be creative.
If you don't have Wi-Fi or a strong signal, are you able to watch Netflix?
Yeah. So luckily, the streaming thing's not happening, but our DirecTV package has like all the movie channels.
Oh, cool.
So I've seen every movie in the world now.
Well, what's good? What'd you watch that was good? Because I'm struggling now a little bit. Except for Tiger King on Netflix, I'm just searching around.
Yeah, so once I get home, Tiger King's my wife's already started it and she's digging it. I don't know if you follow my socials, but one day I literally watched all of the Rockies in one day. That was great.
What's the best one? Because I have my feelings. Best Rocky.
What's the best one?
Yeah, we'll both pick one. Which is the best Rocky?
It's hard to say, but I think Rocky IV with the Russian is my favorite.
Me too. Okay, let's go to the second best one. And you can put the Creeds in there if you want. What's the second best Rocky?
So honestly, if we can do Creeds, so like all of them, including Rocky Balboa and Creeds, right?
Yeah.
I would go Rocky IV, then the first Creed, then Rocky II.
Interesting. I think I put the first Creed second as well. Rocky II is good because he wins, right? Like, not spoiler alert, folks. If you're out there, this first Rocky was made in like 1979 or 1980. So if you haven't watched it by now, just suck it up. But
exactly,
because he loses the first one to Apollo, right?
Yeah,
they're in the hospital.
On a decision, right?
Yes, and then he
so
wins.
That's why they fight again, because Apollo isn't satisfied with that.
And so then 3 is the awful one with Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. I didn't really like that one that much. Did you?
No, not at all.
And I didn't really care for the one, and you may like this one, but the one where Tommy Morrison comes, I don't know that I loved that one. I liked it. I don't know that I loved it, though.
Yeah, Rocky Balboa. That was fun.
What'd you think about the one where he comes back and he's old?
What was that one called? What was that one called?
I think Rocky V was with Tommy Morrison. I think Rocky Balboa is where he comes back and fights.
You are correct.
Yeah.
You are correct. Yeah. Rocky Balboa is the one when he comes back. And they did the virtual fight, and then he went to Vegas and fought him.
Yes.
It's pushing it at that point. Like, it was already pushing it with Rocky V. He's already too old for that to be believable. But with Rocky Balboa, I was like, guys, come on.
I was thinking
what was that whole, like, if you fight again, you could die, but then he passes all his tests and gets cleared by the boxing commission.
If you go through the physical, you're not going to die. That's the whole point of the physical. Like, yeah. So, and I also struggled a bit with this second Creed in that I started rooting a bit for the Russian son because he was not treated well. And he was only like he was because he was treated like garbage. Yeah,
and you felt bad for him that his mom abandoned him too.
Yeah,
right?
And so I didn't really know. And then Creed is all like rich. I like Creed 1. I loved Creed 1. I liked Creed 2. How do you fall on those two?
Yeah, same. 1 was better.
Yeah. Have you seen the Godfather movies? Because those are movies I have not got into. I've never seen them. But just like you watched Rockies, I've been thinking about hopping into the Godfather.
Yeah, it's been years and years. I haven't revisited them. But like back in college, I like them. I'd rather watch Scarface than Godfather.
I say I've never seen that one either. But Scarface, is that a series or just one movie?
If they did more than one, I don't know about it.
Oh, it is?
Not to ruin it for you, but the way the first one ends, I don't know how they could.
Well, and it's not ruining it. If any movie's over 15 years old, you know, it's just on me to have not seen it. Well, that's interesting. What else?
They fill him with bullets over a giant pile of cocaine on his desk in his house. That's how that's the end. So.
Well, Mike, should I still watch it then since I know the ending?
Yeah.
Okay. Great movie.
Okay.
You definitely should watch it. I think you should watch it. It's a full-blown, like, gory gangster movie that is hilarious. Al Pacino is hilarious.
So what else are you doing in the bus? Talk about business. Are you trying to figure out how to reschedule these shows and what you're going to do whenever we do come back?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Like our big thing is that we don't want to cancel anything. So it's all about trying to move them, and we also don't want to make announcements that they're moved or postponed until we know where we put them. So we're trying to actually get them on the books for a different date before we even let anybody know for sure that it's not happening. So it's tricky because, really everybody that's having to cancel anything or move anything March, April is all trying to squeeze them into November, December. So you have every act in the business trying to find venues for those last 6 to 8 weeks. And so it's been pretty interesting, but yeah, there's a lot of that, and there's there all of us carry like a pretty big load of rentals, whether it's like buses or semi trucks or musical equipment and stuff, and trying to come to some sort of agreement with these companies that hey, you can add X amount of months on the end of our contract if you give us a break right now while nobody's making money, and we're trying to stretch what we have out as long as we can, so in case this thing goes longer than we think it will, because nobody knows that we'll still be around and be able to afford to get back on the road.
I know tickets to the Chapters tour are available now. But I guess a good thing is it wasn't supposed to kick off till April 16th, right? And we're not there yet, so if you don't have to make a decision, why would you? I'm talking about in your place right now. You can kind of sit for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, we that's the second half of it. So unfortunately, there was a date at the end of March that in Arkansas that we had to move already, and there were, and then the second half started on the 16th, and so yeah, like you said, hopefully, in a perfect world, May 1 is what we're looking at to get back on track, and they're saying that's the earliest, and that August is the latest. I'm hoping for the earliest, but even if Trump kind of changes what we're allowed to do publicly, I bet you public gatherings is going to be the last thing to get cleared.
Yeah, it'd be tough to go, all right, we've just been given a controversial clearance. Let's everybody get together. That'd be tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw.
And nobody's got, anybody that doesn't already have a ticket that's paid for are probably not spending money after they've been out of work for 2 months on concert tickets.
That's a good point, too.
So it's interesting. It's scary.
I was looking at this playlist you put up that's Brett Young, quarantined with 112 songs, 65 hours. And it's a lot of your songs, a lot of your favorite songs that people submit their songs. I was kind of looking through the list a little bit. So, but I'm trying to get a feel for you as like what you listen to when you're alone. Like, who is your favorite artist of all time?
Of all time, Gavin DeGraw.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How cool that you get to be friends with your favorite. I knew he was a big part of, your music, and you really liked him. I didn't know he was your favorite though. That's cool.
Yeah, his songwriting is very unique and interesting to me, and his voice is I could listen to Gavin sing forever. So it was very cool that we crossed paths and got to become friends, and we worked together a little, because that's definitely like working with one of my idols. So that's definitely top of the list. There's a guy though that I met a couple of years ago playing the ASCAP stage at Sundance in Park City. And he has a song out right now that everybody's loving called "If the World Was Ending" with Julia Michaels. But his name's JP Sachs, and he has a new EP out, and all the songs on his EP are on repeat for me right now.
So you know that dude?
I mean, yeah, we met. Well, like I said, we met doing an ASCAP event a couple of years ago, but we've been in touch recently about getting together and writing when he's in town. But there's just something really like honest and straightforward about his songwriting, and he's got a really cool voice. So I've been kind of mainlining JP Sachs lately.
Well, let me go back to Gavin for a second, because I think of the people that I love, and I've been able to work alongside or do some stuff with them, and it's always an interesting thing to be a peer to someone that you admire. When you meet Gavin for the first time, do you remember that?
Yeah, the first time I met Gavin, well, that's kind of yes. So I was at his show. He was on a co-headlining tour with Avril Lavigne, and I was living in LA, and they played the Greek Theater. And Gavin, I don't know if he still does this, but he always used to go out and listen to the opener, just stand in the crowd, and if people approached him, they approached him. And that night, she was on stage, and I was with a couple of my cousins, girls, both younger than me, and we saw him, and we went over and introduced ourselves and took pictures with him and stuff. And my cousins drove back to Orange County. I went out to a nightclub after the show, and me and my buddy at like 3 o'clock in the morning were eating at Mel's Diner on Sunset. and we were out on the patio, right along the sidewalk on Sunset, and Gavin came walking down the street, and I yelled at him and stopped him, and we had a conversation. I was just about to go into the studio to record my first EP ever. This was like 2004, 2005 maybe. And he stopped for 20 minutes at 3 o'clock in the morning and asked me questions and gave me advice about, recording the EP and about songwriting and the whole thing. And fast forward a year later, and I'm in Hawaii for a U2 concert. I find out Gavin's playing for the Honolulu Marathon at the Waikiki Shell. And same thing. He's standing out listening to this ukulele player before I walk up to him, and he's like, "Dude, I remember you. Mel's on Sunset."
Wow.
And I couldn't believe that he remembered, but he was like, "Dude, it was a crack up." He's like, "I hate Hawaii. It's terrible. It's all tourists. What are you doing later? Let's get a beer. I'm staying at," I forget if he was staying at the Long Border or whatever. But we ended up hanging out the rest of that trip, going to the U2 show together, and we've been buddies ever since.
I have a good Gavin DeGraw story where we were at the airport, and we were on the same flight flying back from Los Angeles. And just to show how nice of a guy he is, we're flying back, and he's in the seat behind me. And we're talking a little bit, but it's that awkward thing where you don't really want to turn around and have the conversation through the hole in the middle of the seats. But you're like, "Hey, man, you good? Yeah, you good?" And he had just done some charity work. We did some charity work together. And we come off the plane about the same time, so we're talking on the way out. And Gavin's a super nice guy. It's funny that you mentioned that you just went up to him, because in the airport, he stops and talks to anybody who wants to come up. And it's just saying hello to anybody and everybody, and just a smile on his face. And we're waiting for our baggage. And I'm taking pictures with a few people. He's taking pictures with a few people. And I'm and people are like struggling to take pictures. And, if someone's like, "Hey, can I get a picture?" and they give their phone to somebody, and they're like, "Oh, crap, I got to flip the camera." All this stuff's happening. And he pulls me aside and he goes, "Hey, man, I'm going to give you a little advice on these pictures." Because I was just taking pictures with people, but it was taking me a lot longer than it was him. And he said, "Hey, what you do?" He said, "Just grab their phone and go, 'Hey, let's get that selfie,' and just go boom, boom, and hand them their phone. That way you can get more people on the line faster. And also, they're not like, 'I can't flip my phone.' You avoid all of that trouble of them not knowing how to handle their phone." And so That was my Gavin DeGraw advice. So we both have been served a little bit of Gavin's sage wisdom.
Yeah, he is the king of the meet and greet. I got to give him that. He won't leave until everybody that got their picture is happy.
Do you feel like, speaking of meet and greets, that you're going to do yours different from now on, as far as just touching as much and hugs and pictures and stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. We definitely, while we were over in Europe, we canceled all the meet and greets. I don't know how that's going to look. I mean, the tour that I'm on has a VIP meet and greet package, so I don't know that canceling it is an option. But it's got to change somehow. It's got to be like, no shaking hands, or it's got to be something. It's got to change a little bit.
Social distance meet and greet
until we flatten the curve, so to speak.
Yeah. Do you watch the news a lot or no?
Yeah, but lately it's been like a lot of the same information, and it started to become kind of a downer. So I do like a before bed check-in rather than watching it all day long at this point.
Do you ever listen to your own music and you're in the bus? Just turn it up and have a Brett minute?
Not unless it's new and I just wrote it. Otherwise, I take a break from my voice as often as possible.
Last time you were in, just to kind of catch up, you hadn't had the baby. You had the baby right afterward. Like, what's the difference in life right now?
Everything. Nothing is the same. Even being here right now, like, I bet I would have let my wife decide, but I bet I would have gone home, and if she got it, we would have it together,
Yeah.
The virus I'm talking about. So, like, even down to that, but I think it changes. I used to be a really late night night owl guy, and then because I could sleep in, because shows, I don't have to be into sound check till 2, and it's now it's like, because you have to be up in the morning with the baby, you're getting tired earlier, and it's like, even on the road now, I get off stage, and I used to need a little time to let the kind of adrenaline come down, and it's like half the time now I walk off stage, walk back, change into clean clothes, and fall into bed. So it's, I mean, it's definitely, I'm definitely adulting nowadays, which is not something I was used to.
I'm looking at a picture of your baby here on your Instagram. By the way, it's Brett Young Music. Who do you see in your baby's face more, you or your wife?
I still think it's more me, but when she was born, the first month, it was my twin. I mean, she was exactly me. I'm starting to see, even though she's my coloring, she's got lighter skin and light eyes and light hair. I'm starting to see more of like the shape of my wife's face. I think she has like a lot of Taylor's features, but she has all my coloring. So it's starting to become more of a blend. But I think if you ask people at this point, they'd still say more me.
How's Taylor doing, having to be the sort of single mom right now?
She's doing great. Luckily, her mom was in town visiting when this whole thing went down. And because her mom's in that like mid-60s age range, which is like high risk, we decided that it wasn't safe for her to fly. And especially they live like in the Seattle area, which is like Washington is the worst right now. So it worked out great that she's been able to have her mom there helping while I've been on the bus. So she's doing good. I'm sure she's excited for me to come be able to help and take on part of the load, but it's been nice to have grandma there.
I'll give you one more question before we jump, but it's about songwriting. Yeah, something new that happened in your life, which is your baby. Are you writing songs now with new intentions because there is something new in your life?
Absolutely. You and I have talked about this before. I never want to write in a way that would come across pandering. You know, like I'm not going to put out a Lullabies record because I just had a baby. You know, like that's just not how it's going to work. But at the same time, authenticity in songwriting has always been really important to me. Like if I'm not writing about something I've been through or at least associate with or relate to, then I don't think I can expect people to like connect with the song, you know, if I'm not connected with it. And so the best way to do that is to write about your life. And obviously the biggest thing that's happened in my life lately is that we had our first child. So it's definitely influencing the rights. There is a song that I've written for her that we're closing the tour with now that'll come out when my next project comes out, whenever that is. So it's a tricky balance because it's going to affect and influence my songwriting, but I also want to make sure that, you know, I don't write 12 songs about my daughter. You know, there's people out there still having their heart broken that want to hear the quintessential heartbreak song, or the people that need that wedding song. And so I want to make sure there's a little bit of something for everyone. But she's definitely, life has changed forever, and it will affect songwriting moving forward for sure.
Well, dude, I'm glad to hear you're doing well. I'm glad to hear you have no symptoms, and very mature of you to chill on the bus. I don't know if I would have been so mature. It's good to hear from you.
Thanks, bud. It's always good talking with you.
All right, Brad. Talk to you soon, bud.
Later, bud.
Hey, guys. It's Bobby Bones. Welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and then go check it out. A lot of artists, a lot of songwriters, a lot of music. Welcome to the BobbyCast channel.